Palestinian territories, Ms. Francesca Albanese, who is online. Ms. Albanese, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Thank you all in Geneva and connected remotely. For me, this is a very important press briefing, and thank you, OHCHR colleagues and fellow special rapporteurs, independent experts for being present. To those who are following us, silence is not an option, neither for me nor for my colleagues. And raising our voice is an integral part of our mandate as UN expert. I am currently in Jordan. In principle, I should be in Palestine, in the occupied Palestinian territory, but because of the restrictions and the obstacles that Israel, as an unlawful occupier, imposes on me and others, I'm just grateful to the Jordanian government and the people I've met these days for the support they extended to my mandate. I want to start by saying, before delving into the sanctions, that it's not easy for me to be with you today after an intense and painful week spent speaking with survivors of torture, victims and their lawyers in preparation for my forthcoming report to the Human Rights Council. The testimonies I've collected have been harrowing, and I look forward to presenting my findings to you next month, because the harm inflicted upon the Palestinian people evokes some of the darkest chapters associated with authoritarian rule belonging to we would have hoped, to the past century. I remain struck by the limited outrage expressed by much of the international community. I've welcomed and I continue to welcome the return of Israeli hostages to their families. But we must also confront the situation of Palestinian detainees. There are nearly 10,000 today in Israeli jails and trapped in the Israeli network web. They are hostages of an unlawful occupation held in brutal conditions. And I will address this in greater detail when I'm in Geneva. However, the overall situation in the occupied Palestinian territory is catastrophic. In Gaza, where families survive in flooded tents while people continue to die from gunfire, cold, hunger, and preventable diseases, and someone has the audacity of calling it ceasefire. And meanwhile, in the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, conditions continue to deteriorate. Policies aimed at consolidating an unlawful annexation that was announced by this coalition government in February 2023, and have raised the alarm multiple times, including with the Secretary General. These policies are aimed at further displacing the Palestinians. Permanent forced displacement, permanent population change, population shift. This is also what the High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, has been denouncing recently. So in the middle of all this, I can tell you how toxic and personally damaging for me and for my family these past days, weeks and months have been. The smears, the sanctions, the continuous attacks from all over, from those very states who should use that energy and stamina to go after those who are accused by the highest court in the world of war crimes, crimes against humanity and genocide. So here I wish to express really my heartfelt gratitude to the colleagues within the UN system. First and foremost, special rapporteurs, independent experts and working groups who have been with me steadily from the very beginning, the coordinating committee of special procedures and the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, as well as member states like the members of the OIC in particular, who have recently strongly and swiftly defended my mandate from the attacks emanating from some European countries. The measures, I want to refer to the sanctions now. The sanctions against me form part of a broader strategy associated with the current US administration, which is aiming at weakening international accountability mechanisms and more broadly, as has been said already, the rule of law system that we have built over the past 8 years, replacing it with a revived militarized and financially empowered form of neo-colonial domination. And it's particularly concerning the targeting of those who seek accountability, the judges and prosecutors of the International Criminal Court, myself as a UN mandate holders, and Palestinian civil society organizations. Because look at what keeps us together. The three of us are doing nothing more, nothing else than seeking accountability for victims. Securing the revocations of the sanctions against me, against the ICC judges and prosecutors, and against 4 Palestinian NGOs, and of the executive and the reconsideration of the executive order from which they emanate is not a personal matter. It is a shared interest for all who believe in international law, accountability, and the world governed by rules and not by force or by bullying. So faced with this rupture, we must name it clearly and move beyond it toward what I call more and more a decolonized multilateralism, grounded in equality, in accountability, and in the universal application of international law. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Albanese. The experts will now ask questions. Please state your name and organization before asking a question. And since we have several speakers, we'd be grateful if you could indicate to which expert your question is directed. Thank you. Jeremy.
Thank you so much. Jeremy Lange for the French Public Radio. I've got 2 questions. I would ask them in English, and if you may answer for those who may in French, I'd be happy to. But it's for all of you. First, on the declaration by the minister of, not the ministry, but the French ambassador earlier this week at the Human Rights Council. I'd like to know what were your reaction when you listened to the ambassador saying something about you, Ms. Albanese, but not this time asking for your resignation. So your first reaction when you heard that, and a more broader question for you, all of you, considering this context for special procedures holders, do you consider that today it is easier for you to work in countries like, for instance, Syria, than working in environment like the US and European countries?
Ms. Albanese, will you take the question first?
Yes, actually, I do not have much to say because, I heard about the comments of the French ambassador. It seems that the French diplomacy has changed its mind. Would it have been nice if they added also a word of apology, considering the smear campaign that they've been part to? But also, let me take this opportunity to make a comment about the sources that Italian, French, and German diplomacy has relied upon. It's past the time that we hold accountable the organizations that from within the UN system, profiting of their ECOSOC status, fabricate defamations against me, against us, against any rapporteur, any special rapporteur, or any independent expert, the Office of the High Commissioner, the Commission of Inquiry, anyone who dares scrutinizing Israel, accusing us of anti-Semitism, accusing us of supporting terrorists. These actors need to be held accountable because clearly they have provided false information that the French diplomats and others, or the French minister and others, have relied upon, which is already disconcerting. But however, the question is that here it is to be clear once and for all that the human rights system and the human rights movement that globally is forming for justice in Palestine has nothing to do with what Israel is and professes as a religion. Is about what Israel does as a state and its continuous violations of international law, including international criminal law.
Thank you. Do any of the other experts want to weigh in on Jeremy's questions? Did you have a follow-up, Jeremy?
No, if I may, Ms. Albanese, if you could just answer en français pour cette partie-là. Juste voilà votre réaction en français, juste en quelques mots.
Oui, non, vous avez raison, vous l'aviez demandé. Non, finalement, je pense, j'étais occupée quand la session du Conseil a eu lieu, mais j'ai entendu, j'ai lu ce que Monsieur l'ambassadeur de la France a dit au sein du Conseil, et je dis que je prends note du fait que la diplomatie française a changé d'avis finalement. Je prends note et j'aurais attendu aussi un mot de clarification et d'excuse parce qu'ils m'ont insulté de façon virulente, inacceptable. Et de toutes les façons, je pense que c'est le moment de ouvrir la discussion sur les organisations qui fabriquent des fausses informations, des accusations avec tout le monde qui essaye d'avancer le dossier de la justice en Palestine. Qui ça ne veut pas dire critiquer Israël pour ce qu'il est. Israël peut professer toutes les religions qu'il veut. Le problème, c'est pas avec ce qu'Israël est, mais avec ce qu'Israël fait, c'est-à-dire avec la violation épatante de droit international qu'il commet. Et voilà, il faut finalement adresser ces organisations qui ont fait de la diffamation leur profession contre moi, contre les autres relateurs spéciaux, contre la commission d'enquête, le commissaire aux droits humains et tout. C'est le moment parce que ces gens-là sont considérés à peu près comme des clones. À Genève, personne les considère, on dit on leur donne pas de l'oxygène, mais finalement, ils constituent une source d'information au niveau de chaque capitale européenne et ailleurs. Voilà, merci.
Thank you, Ms. Albanese. Mr. Levra will also weigh in on that question, Jeremy.
Merci pour vos questions. Très brièvement, peut-être sur la deuxième question, à savoir est-ce qu'aujourd'hui il est plus facile de travailler en Syrie qu'aux États-Unis d'Amérique pour des rapporteurs spéciaux? La réponse est malheureusement non. C'est difficile de travailler partout. Il y a eu une dégradation terrible des conditions d'accès au territoire, que ce soit pour des raisons juridiques ou pour des raisons pratiques de sécurité. Et quand je fais référence à des enjeux de sécurité, je ne parle pas que de la Syrie. Certains d'entre nous craignent pour leur propre sécurité dans le territoire d'États qui ne semblent pas offrir les garanties de nous laisser mener notre mandat jusqu'au point de découvrir les faits. Et le deuxième point, c'est effectivement, et ça se réfère aussi à ce dont a parlé Francesca Albanese, il est de plus en plus difficile de faire la part des choses. Il y a des manipulations de l'information, alors c'est pas nouveau, il y a toujours eu des tentatives, voire des réussites dans la manipulation de l'information, mais aujourd'hui, à cause des technologies qui se sont développées, il devient très difficile, vous-même qui travaillez dans les médias devez le savoir, il devient parfois très difficile de démêler le vrai du faux. Et évidemment, les paroles comptent. Il est clair qu'on ne peut que se réjouir qu'un ambassadeur dise moins que ce qui a été dit précédemment par son ministre, mais comme l'a dit Francesca Albanese, peut-être c'est pas suffisant. Merci.
Thank you. Ms. Hoppenheim also has an intervention.
Thank you. Just to add to the second question, par rapport à la deuxième question, juste pour ajouter que on doit travailler avec tous les États et on va essayer de travailler avec tous les États et aussi souligner quand il y a des violations de droits humains, l'endroit où les violations ont lieu. Alors, on va essayer de travailler aux États-Unis, dans la Syrie ou partout le monde. J'espère que les États vraiment réfléchissent et ont beaucoup plus de ouverture pour travailler avec nous, avec le processus spécial. Merci.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for the experts online? I don't see any hands online. Do any of the experts want to say anything further? Anybody online? Miss Albanese? No. Okay, if there are
No, it's very.
Sorry, please go ahead.
No, it's very interesting to be in a press conference with journalists who do not ask questions. Another interesting sign of the time we are in. It's okay. Thank you for those who are there.
Thank you.